You're listening to Manna for the Day.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat and welcome to Manna for the Day. Our scripture for today is found in the book of Psalms, chapter 143, verse 6. Ang sabi po dito, I stretch out my hands to you, my soul longs for you as a parched land. When my son Alab was still 2 years old, I remember this one church service when he was sitting beside me during the Lord's Supper. When it was time to take the elements, I allowed him to taste the bread and the grape juice. When he ate them, he said, "Yummy! I want more." Psalm 143:6 was David's cry to God from a time of pain. It was David's pleading for God to hear his spirit's grief from persecution from his enemies. In the previous verses, he thought of the many times God helped him and showed him his faithfulness. He remembered what God did in the days of old. In verse 6, all he could express was his deep longing for God. Against the backdrop of his aching soul, his pain drove him to yearn for God more and say, "I want more of you. My soul thirsts for you like a dry land thirsts for water." Isa sa mga paborito kong Filipino words is the word uwi. It entails reunion, homecoming, that satisfying and relieving experience that after a hard day's work or yung matagal na pagstay sa isang lugar o isang bansa, we go back to that familiar, comforting place called home. We long for it, count the hours or the days until we get to our home and see familiar and loved faces and receive rest in that place. In fact, in the Doctrina Christiana's translation of the Lord's Supper, the term used for "your kingdom come" is the word uwi. Sabi sa translation na ito, "Maiuwi mo ang iyong kaharian sa amin." In David's longing heart, God was the home and the rescue he so yearned for. This wanting more of God should drive us, like David, to move ourselves to do things that will make us closer to God. It may be in the form of prayer, or more so in reading scripture, where we indeed hear more of God's voice and learn what He did for us in the past, what He will do for our future, and understand that He is walking with us through the struggles of the present. Life doesn't need to be filled with struggles for us to yearn for God. We don't have to be plagued with suffering for us to stretch our arms for the Lord's presence. Sometimes, a childlike wonder of who God is, His kindness, His goodness is enough to say, "He is good and I want more of Him."
And that was our Manna for the Day.
Subscribe and follow our social media accounts for more content and be updated with Bahrain Christian Fellowship.